Welcome to the Scared So What podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Grant Van Ulbrich. This is the show where we break through the fear of change and ask the question, scared? So what? Each week we dive into personal change management, coaching, and leadership for the future, giving you real-world tools, insights, and stories to help you lead yourself and others through transformation. Whether you're navigating change in your life, your career, or your organization, this is your space to learn, to grow, and to take bold action. So, are you ready? Let's move from fear to forward. Welcome to the Scared So What podcast show. Today we're honored to have a very special guest with us that has recently retired as the Chief Superintendent, following a 32-year career in the Metropolitan Police. With a strong background in partnership, collaboration, and leading team transformation, she was seconded to His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services, and also led the first mental health inspection of all forces. Her report, Policing and Mental Health, Picking Up the Pieces, led to significant national progress against key recommendations. She was even awarded the Queen's Police Medal in 2021 in the Queen's New Year's Honors for her inspirational leadership in leading the PPE distribution hub during the pandemic and with military logistic expertise and leading distribution to all police forces and overseas territories. My goodness, I'm so honored and I'm so excited to have this lovely lady with us. I can't wait to introduce her, so please join me and let's celebrate Hannah Wheeler. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Hi, Grant. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so good to see you today and to hear you and talk with you. How's things going for you in your retirement?
Uh, I'm loving it. I must admit, I was a bit apprehensive at going
Were
like
you?
full system go to nothing, but
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm doing my open water swimming. I'm
Okay.
going to the gym. I'm playing pickleball even.
Oh, pickleball?
Yeah,
Really? Wow, that's very active. That's very
yeah.
forceful too, as well, too. And you mentioned that you were, in our earlier discussion, you are doing some retrofits to your nice garden. That's going to be
I
peaceful.
am. I'm having my garden landscaped, so it's going from a patch of scrubby wasteland that the dog
Yeah.
loves to more of a curated space with some raised beds that I can actually plant things and watch them grow and just generally enjoy more.
That's going to be very peaceful. Well, I'm happy for you. 32 years in the Metropolitan Police and all the different things that you've done. We've been friends for a little while now, but it was just so exciting to reading in your bio just how much you have done and contributed in your service. And I thank you for that. It's just incredible what you've contributed to the world. But I will say, and our listeners can't see you, but I can, you still look like you have a whole lot of life left. You're too young.
Oh, I feel very kind.
Ah, bless. Well, Hannah, for our listeners, let's learn a little bit more about you. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your exciting career?
Yeah, sure. So I actually, when I was younger, I went away to boarding school. My father was in the army, so we moved around a lot. So I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school. So I did a bit of traveling, and then I went and did a degree in cultural studies, which again I loved, but didn't really prepare me for anything specific. And I just knew I wanted to work with people. So I saw an advert for the Met Police in London, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? If I don't like it, I can always
Oh, yeah,
leave.
right.
Yeah, and
What was that first position? An
it was
advert.
as a police constable. So joining the Metropolitan Police, and there was a 3-day interview back in those days. With a full medical, lots of different interviews and fitness tests and things like that. So it was all over the course of 3 days at Hendon.
Wow.
But I absolutely loved it. As soon as I joined, I was part of this big family and big
Yeah.
team. And we went out onto our various areas just after we'd been in training for 2 weeks. And I kind of met the teams and went out on patrol with them. And I just thought, actually, I found my niche here. I just want to be able to just go out and help people when they need us,
Yeah. And it's a
Yes.
big team, isn't it? How big is the Metropolitan Police?
It's currently police officers and police staff. It's just under 50,000 people. So
Yeah.
it has grown. It's bigger now than when I joined. We've got about 32,000 officers, and lots of police staff supporting us to do
Yeah.
everything. Um, but it's been absolutely wonderful. I've worked all over London,
Mhm.
central, north, west, south,
Yeah.
all over the place. And I've done a variety of different roles, uniform, and I wanted to be a detective as well. So I was a
Oh.
detective for a few years working in domestic abuse. But at that point where I went for a promotion to sergeant, there were no detective promotions. So they said, if you want to take your promotion, you have to return to uniform, which
Oh.
I didn't have a problem with. So that was fine. So I went back into uniform to take up my promotion as sergeant, and then just kind of stayed in uniform thereafter,
Yeah.
because so much variety and so many different things that you can do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And how did that feel? I remember, I'm curious, I was in the military, in the Navy,
Mm,
and I remember that sense of camaraderie,
mm,
just that your brothers and sisters would do anything for you and you would do
mm.
anything for them. I would
Yeah,
kind of imagine, is that similar within the police force?
absolutely, absolutely. And on the occasions when I did need urgent help and I was, in difficult situations, absolutely, people were there as soon
Yeah.
as they could possibly get there.
Yeah.
And and I'd like to think that's still the same now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need help, it's there. You need
Yeah. And you can
advice,
count
it's
on it,
there.
right? And
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
rare because we don't always get that in life, right? Outside of these special forces or these special
Mm,
opportunities. And I think that's sad. I remember in coming from the military of working on ships, I thought, how could I find that again? And I was fortunate to find
mm,
it within the cruise industry and spent
mm,
nearly 23 years of my life doing
mm,
that. So I can identify it. Once you're
mm.
in, it is a network that you just want to continue to soar with your friends and colleagues, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you want everyone to succeed. Nobody wins if people play small, do they? So you just want
Yeah,
everyone to do well.
it's so true.
Mm,
Well, listen, you weren't always the chief. You were always all at the very top. Obviously, within you, there's your own sense of leadership and your own sense of drive. And so you've done exceptionally well. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your leadership style and what you believe to be important in leadership within police or beyond?
mm. Um, I suppose my leadership style, it's very collaborative. I want to empower people and my colleagues and the teams I work with. I want to empower them to achieve, but I
Mhm.
also want them to know it's okay to fail. If things
Yeah,
go wrong, that's fine. I will be there and I will support you, but it shouldn't be for lack of trying that we try new
yeah,
things. And I think a good leader, supports and engenders that. I encourage my teams to come to me with kind of solutions to the problems we're facing, with a range of solutions, and we'll just sort of ask my advice on, which solution might work best, and I'll kind of gently kind of guide them. Um, but they do laugh at me, my teams, because I use this analogy of leadership glitter. Um,
oh, interesting. I haven't heard
because
that one before.
yeah, because previously in the Met, people talk about leadership shadow. So good leaders cast a shadow that's
Yeah,
far far longer than them. Um, but for me, I don't want to cast a shadow. I don't want people to stand in my shadow or be. It kind of has for me sort of dark connotations. So for me, I prefer the term leadership glitter, because glitter, we know, sticks to everything. You
yeah,
cannot get it off once it sticks to you. So I think, a good leader, they will leave their glitter on you, as much as you want to get rid
as
of
much as you
something,
want. Yeah, that's
good or bad. And I've said to
I
people,
love that.
everyone needs to take the glitter from the leaders, that they
Yeah,
admire. So take bits from leaders, take bits of their glitter, but also
yeah,
be able to spread your glitter. Even if you're not in the room as a leader, people should know that you've been there by, the tone of the emails you send, the posters
yeah.
on the walls, the policies you've written. They should see that glitter shining through of you and what you stand for. So that's
Well,
kind
it's
of
really
how we
about
talk about it. Yeah.
yeah, it's really about making an impact, and there's choices that you can make. Do you want to be a transactional leader, which is one that tells people what to do?
Mm,
You have to be prepared for what all of that entails, which is lack of engagement, lack of follow-up. lack of commitment, lack of ownership. And that's hard because some people don't want to lose control, right? So they choose to live in that transactional leadership space. But what you're describing is the opposite, a true transformational leader who cares about people, empowers people. There's elements of coaching, etc. And I love that because you know what? We do as employees have a choice, don't we?
Mm.
We can choose leaders that we will follow and that we will learn from and that we will adopt their practices and their teachings, or we can choose not to follow them at all and actually alienate ourselves from the organization. And I love that analogy, glitter. Spread your glitter.
Yeah, but you have to sparkle a bit, don't you, for people to want
Hmm.
to follow, and you have to believe in what you're telling people. It's no
Yeah.
good getting a decision from above that you don't agree with and then going back to your team and going, we've got to do this. I don't agree with it, but we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas, a true leader will discuss that decision, maybe challenge it if necessary.
Hmm.
But once you understand the reasons for having to do it, you then go back to your team and go, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it work. We might stop doing something else for a while we sort this out and go in this direction. But you've got to be respected, as a leader, and you've got to be empowered to make good decisions.
That's so
Mm.
true. Questions coming to my mind about leadership, and what I am sensing and what I know of you is a strong leadership, caring, empathetic person. Somebody who I would just love to follow and love to work with as well too. But I'm also conscious of the discussions around the world about female leadership, and people question that a lot. But you know what? You just left a very high level position leading, and you had a long, successful tenure. What is your thoughts about um, the male reactions to your leadership? Did you ever have rejections or allergic reactions to your leadership pros?
Yes, and
Mhm.
right up until the point I was leaving. Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Because you can kind of see people from the outside, can't you? And you think, oh, they're amazing. They're successful. But it's been, it's been. I've had tough battles along the way to get there. There have
Yeah,
been people who don't appreciate my leadership style, who say that I'm
yeah.
too people focused, too pink and fluffy.
Mhm.
Just got to tell people what's happening. We don't need to
Yeah,
involve them. And I always have been totally, the other way.
I love
Um,
that. Me too.
but yeah, but I will challenge, where I see injustice. I have got very strong values and principles, and I think as a leader, you have to stick by them. You can't be someone who's seen to sway,
Hmm.
depending on which way the wind's blowing. You need to be someone that someone knows they can come and get, a proper, straight, correct answer from.
I
So
love
yeah,
that.
it's been tricky. It's been tricky, and I've failed more promotion processes than you can shake a stick at, honestly.
Really? Wow,
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect that. Wow.
yeah, for various different reasons. The timing's not right. Um, I didn't answer the questions right in the interview, or I go in the
Mm-mm.
interview and I think this is not going to go well just from the from the
Just the
vibes,
vibes.
just the vibes. But and it's disappointing. It's disappointing more for my kind of family and friends because they're as invested in it as I am. But
Of course.
I just think, do you know what? No, I'm going to keep going for it. I'm going to keep going for it. So some ranks have caused me more problems than other. So my last rank I
Hmm.
got on the first attempt, but prior to that, it's taken me a few goes. So I can empathise with people who are going through the promotion process, and I do help and coach and guide them and go, it's okay, it's fine. If it's your time, it will be your time.
Yeah.
If not,
And
there's another time.
and you're so right. People don't realize that, promotability and promotions, and I think this applies to all organizations.
Mm,
People are consciously concerned about their futures and their careers and
yeah.
promotions. And that becomes a very difficult change process,
Mm,
as we've had many conversations about. And
mm.
I actually want to turn that back to you. The scenarios that you've just described, which I think many of our listeners can identify with, how does personal change come into play with your leadership style?
I think we have to realise that we're always changing, aren't we? And that
Yeah.
change isn't anything to be scared of. It's a chance for new developments, new directions. It's a chance to be creative.
Yeah.
change is the constant with us. One day you'll think, oh, I'm doing this. And the next day it'll be like, no, we're not doing that now. We're doing this.
Hmm.
Um, but I think you just have to embrace it. I have sort of struggled with my confidence in the past, my inner critic, who I've named her. She's called Brenda.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so when Brenda is getting in my head, like she had a bit of a word with me this morning about, you're talking to Grant. What do you think you're doing? So
I'm harmless.
I know. So I just say, Brenda, get back in your box, and
There
I
you go.
just close her down. So yeah,
I love the analogies with
it's
you. This is fun.
but I
We've
think
got
it's
Glitter and
we've
Brenda.
got glitter and Brenda, yeah.
This is the mixings for a new wizard or
Yeah.
wicked.
Yeah. But I think as well with change, it's important to tell people when
Yeah.
they've made a difference. And we don't celebrate success enough. We don't celebrate good performance enough. And sometimes for some people, just actually getting to work of a
Yeah.
morning is a feat in itself, given what they've got going on in their own lives. So I just think you have to be kind to people and realize that everyone's going through various different changes at
Hmm.
any one time, but you just have to be kind. Mm.
And it's so true. And I can completely identify with what you were talking about just a little bit earlier with leadership. I've had so many leaders, toxic leaders, that you have told me the same thing, even as a man. You need to be feared. I've been told that. You need to be feared. You're too kind to your people. You're too trusting with people. You're too giving with people. And my answer to that is they've all been fired. And I've maintained, and you have too. And look at you. So there's some truth to this, spreading the glitter. There's some truth to this, to actually talking to Barbara or Brenda and making
Yeah.
sure that, we are human after all.
Mm.
And I remember in our research, part of being a transformational leader is vulnerability. And when people start to see that you are not this iron wall, end all be all, and you actually are human, then guess what? They can start relating with you. And I
Yeah.
can definitely see that in your leadership style and what you're sharing
Mm.
with us today as well too.
Mhm.
Well, let me ask you a little challenging question.
Mm.
What was the most challenging part of your career in practicing either leadership, change, or coaching, or something completely else?
There's a couple of things really. Challenging was having children and bringing up my children, being off on maternity leave and coming back to work and
Oh
being
yeah,
expected to be totally on it.
absolutely.
When you've got a bit of jelly head from being away from the workplace and lots has happened and changed.
Hmm.
Um, so that's been challenging. But
And I would
also,
suppose that might be the same for a lot of women, right? And
yeah, it
more
is.
more men need
Yeah,
to be more empathetic to that because I can't imagine what that would be like having children. You're off, you're dealing with all of
mm,
that, and then you're expected to come right back on and go right back where you were.
yeah, it's difficult. I mean, my husband was brilliant, but he was also working shifts. So there'd be times when we'd be kind of swapping the baby over in the nursery car park and between night and day shift and things. And I'd be thinking, what am I doing? And then I think,
Yeah,
well, and then I was thinking, well, I do need this for my own well-being as well. I love working. So as much as
yeah.
I loved being a mother, I loved working. And then when I got to the rank of chief inspector, ironically, I thought, oh, this is brilliant. I've absolutely made it. And then the then commissioner made the decision that he would get rid of the rank of chief inspector, so we would all be reverted
And,
back to
and you just
inspector.
got there.
I got there and I was like, no, this is not right. So I thought, you know what, I am going to look around and see where else I can go with
Yeah,
this. And that's when I looked and found the secondment at HMICFRS, and I had to
yeah.
go through a selection process for that and I was successful for that. So I think definitely when one door closes, there's another option presented to you. And I just thought I'm going to go for it and see if I can get this secondment so that
And you did it.
and I did it. And actually the then commissioner that arrived, Cressida Dick, changed that decision. She was like, no, we need chief inspectors. So actually that all worked out well in the background, but actually I had, got this fabulous secondment where again, it kind of changed the direction of my life in terms of
Yeah.
really acting on how important the kind of mental health piece was for me in policing.
Well, and can we talk about that? You were given an award by Her Majesty the Queen is for your
Yeah,
for your service. Is that correct?
yeah, but that was for my service during the pandemic. So
Wow.
when kind of the world closed down in March 2020, I was one of the few officers that was seconded to HMICFRS that was a London-based officer.
Yeah.
And the National Policing Coordination Centre said, we desperately need people to come and help us. And I just thought, I've got to do it. I'm based in London. I can't have my colleagues travelling up and down the country during a pandemic. And it made perfect sense for me to do it. So I kind of said, yeah, I'll help. And I turned up and I was basically told to sort PPE out, so personal protective equipment, sort it out and don't catch COVID. They were my two.
You're like, I got it. I can do that.
Yeah, we can do that. And then I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So what exactly is PPE? How much do we need of it? Where are we going to get the money? All that sort
Talk
of
about
stuff.
a royal order. Let's figure this out.
Yeah. So I got together a very small team. And we sourced and procured and sorted PPE, in vast quantities. Then we had to find a distribution hub. So we used an old disused aircraft hangar in Oxford because it was near all the kind of main arterial routes and near the airports for the PPE to be flown in and things. So the military helped us with that. And then just, very small teams of people working so hard. So initially it was kind of, can you come and help for 3 months? And then that turned into 2 years because obviously we had one lockdown, then another lockdown, and then we had the track and trace that we needed to set up, and then vaccinations as well. It was a whirlwind of 2 years. When people say they look back fondly of being furloughed and things like that, I'm like, I don't know what happened. I was just literally on the phone 24/7, tucked away going, right, we need to do this, we need to do that.
But that's just it. The general population, we are indebted to you. They do not know the service members that supported through all of these things, to keep us in good health of where we actually are today. And so thank you.
Oh, no, you're welcome. But it was literally a matter of life and death. There was no PPE for police officers, so we're still expected to go and see people face to face. So it was life or death every day. So we did save some lives, thankfully.
And can I just ask a question? I'm dying to know. Did you actually have you ever met His Majesty?
Yes, because the Queen was too poorly on the day that I got my Queen's Police Medal. So I actually he was the then Prince, so he's the now King. So he was the one who presented me my medal.
What life moments, Hannah.
I know. And it was funny because I was the last person. You go in sessions of either morning or afternoon.
Okay.
And I was the last person. And he talked to me for ages. And then someone had to say, look, you've got to stop this. Because he was so interested in what I'd done. I know.
Wow.
It was wonderful. Yeah. It was wonderful.
I'm flushed. I'm in awe for you. That must have been an amazing experience. I'm sure you'll remember it.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, let me ask you this. I know you're transitioning into the next phase of your life, that retirement. People use that often. Again, I don't see you retiring officially, but we'll see. What would you say the importance of personal change, coaching, and or leadership is beyond work?
I think you can't underestimate the value of coaching, outside of a work environment.
Yeah.
I think it's always really useful to kind of recalibrate and catch up with where you are. And actually personal changes happen throughout our lives, don't we? We transition through to being caregivers for younger people as I'm now finding, being caregivers to elderly parents, and dealing with kind of illness and things. So throughout our sort of personal lives, we're dealing with those transitional phases. I was a bit worried before retirement around the kind of emotional preparation around it. So I did some work with a coach of mine, because I think the focus is very much on, are your finances okay when you retire? But actually, how do you feel about your identity suddenly not being bound up in a uniform kind of public service? That need to kind of help people all the time kind of doesn't go away, but it changes into something else. So, and we just need to remain curious, don't we, about life? I think you can never stop learning. So I think it's just so important to kind of, speak to people about change and acknowledge it's happening. But yeah, definitely I will be doing other things. I just don't
Of
know what
course you will.
direction to take yet.
Of course you will. And you know what? I can so identify. As you and I have talked
Mm.
before, just a few weeks ago, I left a 23-year career within the hospitality
So
cruise
brave,
industry.
so brave.
But you know what? I'm going to be very honest. It was scary as hell.
Yeah.
And I've created the Scared So What model. So the funny thing is
Mm.
my husband was like, Grant, you made the model. Why don't you use it? I'm like, you're
That you
right.
use
You're
it.
right. You're right. I could use it myself. And I have many
Yeah.
times. If I could count the times he's said that in our life, but it's
Oh.
so true. And I think that's something that I have to live in my own truth with teaching and sharing Scared So What to the world is that
Mm.
we're all human.
Yeah.
And even though you learn the methodology, it's something for you to be reminded that you have that tool in the back of your mind and that
Yeah.
you need to feel the fear. And sometimes there's positive change, which I saw this as, but it's still scary, right? Making that
Yeah.
transition. And same for you,
Yeah.
retirement. You know, you've really given and you've contributed your life. You have so much more life to give, but yet it is walking away from that identity of what you're known as.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that kind of security blanket, I suppose.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I do feel at peace with kind of what I've done, and
good for you.
yeah, no, it's interesting. But yeah, it's a new chapter.
There you
But I
go.
think it's important to remember. It is easy to forget how much change we've been through and
Yeah,
forget how what we've learned. So it's a good reminder to, as you say, be reminded to use your tools and things.
there you
But
go.
yeah,
You're so right.
yeah,
Well, and we do have glitter and we have Brenda.
mm, yeah,
So we can find our own Brenda as a way to say, okay, back in the
mm,
box. But
yeah.
I love that. If there's anything I've learned today is within leadership, make sure that you are spreading a little bit of glitter.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know you are. Absolutely. You
Uh,
are. Definitely.
well, bless. Well, my last question we ask of all our listeners is what's one thing of advice you'd like to give out to people about change, coaching, leadership, or just life?
Okay. I could go on about this forever. So,
There you go.
couple of things. Life is short. So think about what you would try tomorrow if you knew you couldn't fail. What's holding you back? Don't wait for permission to start anything. I always used to tell my teams, proceed until apprehended. It's far easier to
Oh,
beg for forgiveness. Just proceed until apprehended. Just start something. It's absolutely
sorry.
fine.
I love that. Proceed until apprehended from the
Exactly.
chief.
Yeah, exactly. But I always say to people, volunteer for things. It's very different to saying yes to everything. But if
Yeah.
people are actively asking for volunteers for things, you can't go wrong really because people generally don't know how to do the thing they're asking for volunteers for. So you can
Hmm.
make it your own, whatever it is, and it
So
opens
true.
new doors. It changed my life volunteering sort of during the pandemic. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
get to meet people you would never have met, be put in situations that challenge and excite you. So yeah, proceed until apprehended.
I love that. Proceed until apprehended. We have to put that into mind. There was also one other thing you said earlier, and it was don't be afraid to fail.
Yes, don't be afraid to fail.
So valid.
Mm,
And I think of all the inventors in the world, and all of the people. Look, Edison, Thomas Edison.
mm,
People ridiculed him and said, "You failed, you failed, you failed." And he said, "I may have failed 3,000 times, but I just needed one time to make the light bulb work. And you're welcome. We
yeah,
now have light thanks to his failures."
yeah,
And it's so true. That's the only way we learn and we process and grow. So,
yeah,
well, listen,
absolutely.
you have just been amazing. You've opened your life to us today, and I thank you so much. It's great to see your leadership skill sets and your pros, and I can't wait to have you back on the show to see how your garden's going and
Yeah.
what else has changed in your life. But
Oh,
for all of our listeners, to learn more about Hannah or to connect with her, she is on LinkedIn, and I'll put the link in our bio of this show so you can actually connect with her because she does have a lot more to give. So, Hannah, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. It's a joy as always, and I can't wait to visit with you more. Any final words?
no, just to say thank you so much. And just please continue to spread your glitter as well because people need people need help with change at the moment. It's a big thing and it's a constant. So any support and help we can give is is fantastic. But thank you very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'm going to go update my website, spread the glitter. Here we go. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Take care, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the Scared So What podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Grant Van Ulbrich. If you found any of this information insightful, well, give us a like and follow along. Make sure that you tune in each week for more episodes as we talk further about what is personal change, how do you manage it with Scared So what about coaching, and also leadership, and how all three of these tie together. If you'd like to learn more, then go to our website at www.scaredsowhat.com. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope that you come back soon.